How's it going? Oh, there's an actual Walford Gazette, is there?
Oh, fantastic. I'm Jamie Ennis, I'm the director of EastEnders.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Oh, amazing.
Here you go. You don't get this? We send them to the set.
No, well, I've never seen, no one's passed it by me before, that's fantastic.
We're allowed to sell it in America, but over here they get a bit iffy and butty about it. So. No, you can take that. Here you go. If you give us, here's my email address in America. If you email me your address, I'll put you on the list for nothing, and you can get it. All right? No problem, mate. Yeah.
Take care.
Yeah, because they don't know. The Walford Gazette has just entered its 7th year of publication in America. It was started by Larry Jaffe and Dan Abramson, as they discovered when they were working together that they both had a passion for a show that they assumed each other had never heard of, and it was just started as a trial run, and it was actually started to be very popular. It was picked up by a few of the PBS stations in America to use as a gift for when they're asking for money to support the show, because it's shown on the channel, doesn't have commercials, it's supported by people's donations. Hi, my name is Paul Field. I'm the webmaster for the Walford Gazette in New Jersey, USA.
And I'm his wife, Denise.
Paul, how long has the Gazette been going?
The Walford Gazette started around 7 years ago. I'm sorry. The Walford Gazette started about 7 years ago by Larry Jaffe and Dan Abramson. They both work in a company, and they didn't realize that they both had a passion for the same show. So they got together and pretty much just put the first issue together to see what would happen, and just for a bit of fun. And it turned out that there was a considerable number of fans that were interested in it. It was then used by PBS stations, which are the public access and public stations in America, which are funded by people's donations rather than advertising, as a gift to give away when someone sends in a check saying we'd like to see EastEnders. Okay, I watched EastEnders pretty much from the first day while I was living in England. I lived here for the first 22 years of my life. I remember the commercials on the TV with the truck with EastEnders written on the side of it, and they were pretty clever how they got your attention and you wanted to know what it was about. And then basically I haven't missed an episode since. When I moved to America, I discovered they were 2.5 years behind to where we are now in England, which was a total nightmare for a while because you were seeing it all again and you really wanted to know what was going on. We got on the internet and discovered that there was a large number of people there that had the interest in it. Before that, my wife had noticed that when the show was on, she couldn't get my attention or anything, and she soon discovered why after being an American soap fan for a while. She can tell you more about that.
Well, when Paul and I first got together, he had me watching these tapes of EastEnders. I was a total American soap opera fan, and it took me a bit of time to get used to the English soaps, basically because I didn't understand the language. But as we continued to watch them together, I found that I started getting closer actually to the characters and was able to relate better to them. Basically that got me hooked, and from that point on, EastEnders became like a part of my life. It was a daily thing that my husband and I did, and we had friends from England send over tapes so that we could keep up to date with it, because at that time, was it on? I don't think it was on.
No, BBC America, which is a new channel in America, only started very recently.
Right.
And they're now 3 weeks behind England, so sometimes we can wait that long, sometimes we have to get the tape if we know there's a really good storyline coming up. But the PBS channels, which unless you have digital satellite service, you have to watch, are getting more and more behind because they're only showing 2 episodes a week where you guys have 3, sometimes 4 or 5 with the specials. And as I say, my wife got hooked on it pretty much because she had no choice. but she discovered, the realism of it in comparison to the American soaps, which are really completely far-fetched. We then,
Right, I had written an article.
yeah, she had written an article for the Walford Gazette,
For the Walford Gazette.
describing how she was converted from a fan of very soapy, nasty shows like Days of Our Lives, which are completely far-fetched, to something that's sometimes depressing but very real.
So did you think the Gazette needed a Brit on board?
Well, I like to be known with people that are into EastEnders because it's like my favorite thing other than my jobs and things. But so we started reading the Walford Gazette. Actually, I found their website, and it was a little do-it-yourself page that someone had thrown together in about 5 minutes. And I got a copy of the paper from them, and in the second copy of the paper I got, it said, we're looking for someone to make us a proper website. And so, of course, I jumped at the chance for that. I called them up, and I kept calling them up, and I even made a site for them before they said I could do it, and I set it all up on my system so they could come and take a look at what I did. And they were impressed with it, at least I guessed. And I've been there ever since, and we've had get together on the internet with groups of 600 or 700 people at sometimes of EastEnders fans around America that are into this and pretty much think they have no one to talk to about it. Everyone thinks that they're the only one that likes it because no one else who's not a fan, who hasn't seen it, does not understand why you watch it.
I think you've just answered.
Yeah, I was good. She would get lonely if she did.
He talks too much.
Sorry.
Oh, God. There's several hundred.
No, start that one again. Start again.
Is that one again? That's
Yeah.
what Larry said.
No,
Larry said that he had several subscriptions.
We have
several hundred.
4,000 people.
Wow.
4,000 copies are printed of it. Over 3,000 are going to subscriptions. A large percentage of that going to American TV stations that I say use it
For telephones.
for the telephone. They give it away as a thanks for sending us money gift, along with some mugs that are produced by some other people. But the Walford Gazette is always the first thing that Americans will mention. And that's it.
Have you?
No, I want to ask Denise, what is the big difference between EastEnders? Like,
Yeah, that you definitely, she can tell you that more.
so, most of the American soaps
Oh,
are so
okay.
glamorous,
Well,
everybody's
that's
pretty.
basically what it is. I found that in American soap operas, the storylines were just way too far-fetched. In EastEnders, you could relate better to them because they seemed more lifelike. The community, watching people just on a daily basis. Unlike soap operas in America, they'll jump from one storyline to the next and you always have trouble following them. They're always introducing new characters and the characters are very fabricated. Even the style which they live in. Everything is always very ritzy and they elaborate on that. Like I said, the storylines, they have really bizarre storylines that wouldn't even be part of regular life. Cults and they had devil worships in, and there's just so many stories that were just so far-fetched that when I started watching EastEnders, I said, you know what, American soap operas are just not for me. I wanted a soap where I could actually become a part of the soap, and every character in EastEnders became like a friend or like a relative to me.
It's not too different.
Sorry.
EastEnders.
Well, I mean, American life compared to English life, I mean, coming to the country and seeing it, I would say the English people are they're refined, they take life slow. America is very fast-paced.
Money
life.
orientated.
Yes, very money-orientated. Everybody is after wealth. Unlike in England, I would say the people are more family-oriented. And that, to tell you the truth, is what I feel really is lacking in America. I think a lot of family values are missing. And with EastEnders, it kind of makes you have what you're looking for or what should be needed in life. And just basically the way they do the storylines, they're natural. You can, yes, you could, exactly. I mean, you could really, really relate and you could feel the emotions of what the character, is going through and playing. Unlike American soap operas, you know, you have to sit and you have to actually laugh because you can't believe how bizarre the storylines are.
There's someone always in your family that something out of EastEnders has happened to.
Exactly.
In America, the chances of someone in your family being a devil worshipper or coming back from the dead after 5 years is pretty slim, I would say.
Have you interviewed any of the cast?
Me personally, the only one I interviewed was the gentleman that played Michael Rose, who, for the life of me,
We recently on
I
a
can't remember his name.
recently on a
Russell
telethon,
Floyd, yes.
he was there helping
Some other US fans basically got on the phone to the BBC a couple of weeks before the telethon because our local station was thinking of dropping it because they didn't think that anyone cared about the show anymore. They were only in it, you know, for the money side of it, I guess. And some other members of the group of people we know pushed the BBC so hard they found someone to come over, and that was Russell Floyd, who played Michael Rose. And he came on air and was on air for 3 or 4 hours asking for money, and they basically made more money and had more phone calls than they've ever had, ever.
Yeah, and we felt that the more publicity that, you know, by having one of the soap stars, right, cast members come on and reaching out to the people, it had a tremendous effect on, you know,
the fact that
people.
he had only really just shown up in the American episodes of it, the non-satellite TV episodes, it was interesting that people still started to pick up on, you know, his life and
Responded
his
so
character.
well.
You know, if someone like Mr. Ross Kemper or played Grant Mitchell came over, I wouldn't like to imagine how much they would have made that night, because Michael Rose really was a background character right now in America, and for them to relate to him so easy, it was very good. Yeah. Ross Kemp and Ricky.
No. There's a lot of them, and for different reasons.
You want to start again? We're kicking off. Yeah. If you want us to say something again, just let us know. Well, the Gazette really only is about EastEnders. We've started recently featuring articles on what the characters, people who play the characters have done like in the past, which are usually part of interviews. We've been digging up old tapes of Barbara Windsor movies and taking clips out of it and old movies and stuff. We found that the lady that played Ruth had been in the King Ralph movie, and we took a picture of that and we put that in there. We do a few reviews of English movies that have contained some of the people from it, but mainly it's articles about the members of the cast, but actually their characters more than them. We don't really get involved in their private life unless, you know, in an interview they tell us something about it or they want us to. We're not a tabloid in any way, shape or form. We just love the show. This to us is a newspaper about, as if it was the real Walford Gazette in the show, we're reading it. That's what we wanted to come across as. It's a group of fans coming together. It's not done for money. It's done for having a good time, and we organize meetings and everything from this. So.
EastEnders fan.
North
One of your
Carolina.
meetings that they have.
Okay. A few examples of what we can have in the paper. We can just do little bits and you can piece them together, I guess, right? All right, a few examples of what we have in the paper. For example, this issue was Operation Buffalo. Basically, the Buffalo PBS station was thinking about dropping EastEnders, and they very cleverly let someone at the Gazette know this before they announced it. And we went into full swing, sending out postcards so that the fans could show their appreciation of the show, and they could make a donation to the channel, again, to keep it on the air. The biggest problem with the PBS funding system is that when people send in a check, the TV station doesn't know what show it's for. Even if they write the name of the show on the check, it tells them, okay, we got a check, we just put it in the bank, we don't really look at the check. So we wanted to make them know that this amount of money is for this show, and you're not going to have this amount of money if you get rid of the show. So this was actually the second or this was the second or third time we've had to do this. New York was the first one, when about 4 or 5 years ago, WNYC, which was a PBS station, was closing, and they had EastEnders for the longest time, all the way back from the start. And we were trying to get another channel to pick it up, another PBS station. There's 5 or 6 PBS stations in our area. And we wrote letters and we had postcards sent to BBC America, to everybody, to keep the show. It's amazing when they're pushed how many fans come out. In New York City alone, the ratings figures show that 200,000 people watch EastEnders on the little PBS station, which is even pretty hard to pick up unless you have cable. Another article in here, for example, there's an interview with, I believe, Ian's manager. Oh, sorry, this isn't Ian's manager. This is when Ian talked online on BBC America, the BBC Online service. We were given permission by the online to reprint some parts of the interview. We've done a few of those because we have a few of the characters, or the people, the cast members that are too busy, and we haven't managed to tie them down as yet to interview with us. Maybe after this we'll get a shot at it, and they discover that, you know, we're not a tabloid, and we're just interested in knowing more about EastEnders and them, and we appreciate what they do for us for the show. What was that? On an average issue, we have 6 or 7 writers. A guy called Tim Wilson often travels to England to interview some of the cast members that we can't tie down from here. He's a total EastEnders and British television buff, and every time he comes back, he brings about 400 videotapes, of which I have to convert for him, so he can watch all of his shows when he comes back. Larry Jaffe is the editor and the publisher of the paper now. Sadly, Dan Abramson, who was the partner with him, passed away a few months ago, and he obviously no longer writes. Maybe I should reword that bit. Okay. Yeah, the publisher and editor is a guy called Larry Jaffe, which I'm assuming you guys will be talking to next week when he's here. The gentleman who started it with him, Dan Abramson, unfortunately is no longer with us, but we still have a few articles that he's written that we haven't published yet, and we're saving them for the next issue, which will have a big tribute to him. He was responsible for getting interviews with a lot of people, including the gentleman that plays Phil Mitchell, who we're very proud that we are the only people that have actually had an interview from him. He likes to keep his private life very private, from what we can tell, and as I've said before, we are not interested in your private life. We just want to know about EastEnders. So he read our paper on the set, because we make a point of sending this to them, and he actually called us, which we were very, very happy of. On the back of the paper are some examples of some of the memorabilia that people find. We have some guys in Canada, I believe, sell at EastEnders Queen Vic teapot. And then a hugest item we have is a little fridge magnet, again of the Queen Vic. Since then, we got the free Arthur Fowler CD. As I say, we're 2 years behind in America, and Arthur's storyline only finished about 3-4 months ago. Some of the PBS stations are so far behind, they're only just seeing his funeral now. We made contact with the gentleman that made this free Arthur Fowler CD, and we're selling those in the Gazette. One of these newer ones might have a better picture of that.
The magnet? This one?
No, the free. You know what? That's clearer. Give me that one.
That's what you were referring to.
Yeah, that's what I thought. You know what? It's okay. Yeah. The Free Arthur Fowler campaign, which was started in England when this storyline was shown, was very successful, and the gentleman who recreated this was talking with Larry Jaffe, who is the editor, and they arranged to sell some of the CDs from that. And again, we also have, all the videos from England if we can get them. Basically, anything we can lay our hands on about EastEnders. And as again, on this paper here is a better picture of the Queen Vic teapot. The worst part about that is them in Canada, and we've only managed, I think, to get 2 of them without them being broken in the mail. And then again, there's the EastEnders book. The Tiffany book we're not pushing so much because, again, most of the people that read the paper are 2 years behind, and the Tiffany book, about 6 pages into it, give away the whole storyline for the next 2 years. The Grant book, you have to be at least nearer the back cover before that happens. So we are pushing this a little bit more. One of the PBS stations decided to give this away as a gift, and they didn't mention it spoilt the storyline, so we haven't heard anything about that yet, but I'm sure we will. He even has the picture of the gentleman that did the free art and ballot campaign. I'm sure this has been published.
But I was going to say, a
in
lot of
England
times,
before.
too, not only the writers of the Walford Gazette, but a lot of the fans.
You know what? Stop 1 second. There's one.
No, I'd say a lot of the fans write in stories. And if Larry
Here it is.
likes them, he also puts them in.
Yeah. 2 bits? To wait for the phone to finish. I think. All right. Mentioning the Free Arthur Fowler campaign. Here we have the gentleman that started it all. Again, this happened in England about 2-3 years ago, and we just picked it up because this American storyline had hit that point, and Larry wrote a story about it. We basically have stories written in by anyone who wants to write a story or an article about anything, even vaguely EastEnders related. We'll be happy to publish it, and if you're interested in that, you guys can visit our website or and email us there, and Larry will get right back to you. We have a few regular writers, but something original is what we always want. We like to publish articles about fans around the world. We just recently published an article that included some people here from Austria and other countries. It's really surprising, especially non-English speaking countries are watching it. I'm not sure if they just speak English or if they have subtitles. I guess that's on BBC, one of the international BBC channels that are over in Europe. They picked this up on. I mean, they're lucky enough. Until we had BBC America a couple of months ago, they were ahead of us, which was very disappointing. As you can see, this lady here has a plate of her car. Says "Love Britcoms." Obviously, EastEnders not being a Britcom, but you get the point. Yeah, sure. Look, I'm trying to think of anything else. And we have the books in the letter section. And another thing that's helped to make the Walford Gazette bigger
It's questions.
is you know, people being able to answer questions and connect with other fans, but also that is, since the website's gotten larger, people have been able to email in their letters and we've connected them to other fans in their area. The biggest thing that happens in America is when a station stops getting it, or if people don't have satellite TV and they live in an area. I believe there's only 15 or 16 stations that now carry it, so that would be like 15 or 16 like parts of states, not even the whole state can get it, because it's a terrestrial TV. They have people who are in the area tape the episodes, and there's a tape train goes off around the country, and sometimes these tape trains are 20 or 30 people long, so it takes you maybe 2 or 3 months for the tape to get to you, but you get it eventually. And that's the thing. A lady called Judy Hirsch runs an EastEnders chat room on America Online, and she has over 600 people in that right now, currently, who get together on a Sunday on America Online and basically talk EastEnders.
People actually meet like in person.
Yeah, that's what I was going to come to next.
Oh yeah, there's.
Every couple of months, there's an EastEnders gathering. There's 1 or 2 a year in New York City, which is right by where we come from. The North Carolina fan club, which really just grew up out of nothing, and a couple of months ago, just
It's like there's an article in one
Yeah.
of these papers.
we have an article about the North Carolina meeting, but there's a Minneapolis has a big fan club. San Francisco used to have a big fan club, but they've combined with a couple of others, I believe. I'm not sure about that. Because of the internet, now we can all get together. It used to be 10 or 15 people in a certain area would get together and talk about it. They didn't realize that at the same time there was 10 or 15 people getting together in 20 other places. But now with the internet, let's see, this was the first, I believe, the first proper...
In North Carolina.
They called it a Gab Fest, which I believe is slang for chit-chat. This was the North Carolina's first get-together that they had. So it's a new club, but it's getting pretty big. pretty much what happens is there's a bunch of normal fans and one very, 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 very big fan who suddenly decides that just watching it on TV and talking about it with his wife isn't enough. So he goes off on the internet and finds another 50 people that just happen to be within about 5 miles of his house, which is really weird because you don't know it. And the next thing you know, they're all sitting in some Irish or English type of pub somewhere in North Carolina, sitting there going, I think Grant Mitchell was kind of cute, and I don't think Tiffany should have done that to him, or whatever. You can do Denise first, because she's got about 400 of them. Anyone male, really?
Well, to tell you the truth, I have several. I find it really hard choosing just one because I think each character has an important role in the entire soap. But I would have to say I like Grant because I think he's,
Ross Kemp.
Ross Kemp, okay.
So Ross
Cut
Kemp.
that. I like him because I like his rough exterior. I like the fact that he's a tough guy, but yet deep down inside he's soft. So that attracts me to him. I also like Ricky because Ricky is soft, he's gentle, and basically I would like to see him tougher. So I think personally my best character would probably be if you combined a little of both of them and create a character who has Ross's, toughness and the soft side of Ricky. I think that would make a really good one. But I like also Bianca. Bianca kind of reminds me of the type of woman I'd like to become. She's strong. She says it like it is. When she sees other people that she cares for getting hurt, she lets them know. And I admire her on that. As far as being motherly, I think Pat is really good in that field. She's made a lot of mistakes in her life, which shows that, no one is perfect, but yet she's learned from them and she offers good advice to others so that they don't make the same mistakes that she has. But I still feel like every character adds to the show, so there's really not one that I could just pick out and say that's my favorite because I think they're all good. I'm sorry, I didn't understand that.
Characters you think are like you?
Like me?
Yeah.
Well, actually, no. I would say the one that I always thought was a lot like me was Tiffany, because she wanted more than anything out of life was just someone to love and someone to love her back, and she wanted to make the most that she could out of life. So I would have to say that would be me. And it was sad to, see her go.
So Paul, can you answer what your favourite character is?
My favorite character. Most of my favorite characters have left the show because seeing it from a lot further back than from my wife saw it. I remember
like Michelle and Sharon. My favorite
episodes were around Sharon.
Sharon and Grant, the Sharon Gate, they call them episodes.
I'd love to see Michelle or Sharon come back. I know that at least they haven't been killed off like some people. there's a shot in the dark they might show up. I like, as I said, my wife said pretty much what I think too. Most of the characters, you can't really say it's your favorite character. It would be kind of boring if they centered around the same characters all the time. It's interesting to see some of the characters you don't see very often suddenly get a big storyline, like Dot comes and goes quite a lot. So I'd like to see some of the old characters come back. It's a shame they killed Tiffany, but saying that, I do understand why. It leaves, now there's a big gap for someone to fill her shoes because the public liked her a lot, and now they're gonna find someone else to like. Can I say Grant's leaving? Am I allowed to say that? That's what I meant. That's what I was thinking. The news that Grant was going to leave at some point. At least we all hope we know he's not getting killed off. But a lot of people in our groups and on the internet and that were very upset that he was going to leave. But again, in my opinion, the show has to have new beginnings and ends, just like real life does, because otherwise the show gets dull and boring. We've seen Phil and Grant beat up enough people. You know, if he comes back 5, 10 years, fine. I'd like to see him come back. I don't want him to see him gone forever. I'd love to see some of the really early characters come back. Angie, Dan, any of those. I really don't think they're gonna. It would be really nice to see some of the older characters come back. But I enjoy the newer characters just as much. But no one's made a publican like Dan did. No one's done that job yet properly as well as he did. I mean, watching some of the old episodes, it does seem kind of dated now, watching that, but I'm sure if they came back, it would be modern and up to date, you know.
Back hurting you?
Tripod next.
Right.
You are Paul asked us his favourite act.
Yeah, okay, so they're gonna let him ask you and then answer it. So.
Well, no, that's not true, actually. Because I also like, well, you know what it is? It's really hard to say what my favorite storyline is. I guess the ones that I always find to be my most favorite is the ones that touches my emotions the most. Tiffany and Grant, the situation when they didn't know whether or not the baby was his, the fact that she was so much in love with him and he was messing around.
With a mother.
Yeah, that was you know, kind of very upsetting, but yet it was a really good, interesting storyline. It kept me glued. Also, the fact of Pat and Roy, and what they're going through with their intimacy problems. The fact of an ex-husband being around, coping with that, seeing him remarry. Also, Grant's mother going through the cancer. I mean, there are so many things that the storylines touch in real life. I really can't say that there's just one really good storyline because I think the writers are brilliant, and I think that they just really touch every aspect of life. And
Do you have a least favourite storyline?
least favorite storyline? I'm trying to think. Well, I would probably say that the least favorite storyline was the recent one with Simon over Tiffany's death. It touched me, you know, really sadly to see him going through such a deep depression over her. It made me really miss the fact that, you know, she's gone, and I had wished that. Very important.
Because they have no idea what
She wasn't really missed.
No one's
know?
missed it yet.
You say that about Ruth.
Sad to say, but the impression I get from a lot of American EastEnders fans is they were all waiting for Ruth to leave because other than the ex-Brits, no one really could understand what she was saying. And they all called her Ruth, and all they did was criticize everything she did. Nothing against the actress, but every time we had a discussion about this, it was always, we wish she would go, and now she's gone. We haven't had one article or one letter saying it's bad to see Ruth has gone.
No, actually, to tell you the truth, I couldn't understand. I was constantly saying, what was she saying? What was she saying? I mean, I think that
Feels
maybe
like that
if she
too, doesn't it?
had,
Feels a bit like that too. You can't quite follow him sometimes.
well, especially
Well, I
when,
can, but the
especially
Americans.
when he's supposedly, you know, drunk.
Yeah, when he was. Yeah.
You know, he was very hard to understand. But I think personally that she really didn't add that much to the show. Perhaps maybe if they further developed the storyline with her, you know, being pregnant and maybe Mark and her together raising the child, maybe then it would have been.
Yeah, we know that she left.
It would have been better for.
You know, the character was
her
written out at
story,
that point
her
because
character.
she left the show. But another thing my wife had mentioned before to me was that that was a storyline that we actually hoped was going to happen. That it would go on for a considerable amount of time with Connor and Mark and Ruth, and we might actually start to appreciate the character more than some of the storylines she's been given in the past.
I just wonder what American programs you think with EastEnders storylines, the storylines went over to America, what soaps could they improve?
All of them.
What soaps could they improve? Oh, let's see. That's that's a hard one.
I'll say the whole question so she doesn't, say the soaps they could improve.
What's the soaps that they could improve would probably be the one that I used to watch the most. That was All My Children. They had a lot of really good storylines to the show, and it wasn't all that ritzy. I gotta cut this on my train of thinking. You like?
So since when he walked in, I lost my train of thought straight away. And I
let
think
me
that.
finish. All My Children. I was thinking this before. All right.
Do you want us to say that he just walked past?
Yeah,
You should have filmed it when he walked past. That would have been cool. You know?
Please finish your question, then we'll ask you about
All right. Let me
Take a
get my
pause so they can edit.
bearings
Take a pause so
straight.
they can edit.
Yeah. Okay. I would say that the soap in America, All My Children, could probably best use some of EastEnders' storylines. Though it surrounds itself around family life, I think there's just a little bit too much of stardom in it with Susan Lucci. She's one of the leading actresses who plays Erica, and the things that has happened to her in her life are just so far-fetched that I think if they just took some of the qualities of EastEnders and showed the characters in this soap as people instead of stars, I think they would have a much better soap. In fact, I don't think it would only just be All My Children. I think all American soaps can learn that the thing that really gets people is touching their emotions. Knowing that real life does include the things that are in EastEnders and not these fabricated storylines that they come up with that people get bored with. And that's why, like I said, I crossed over from an American soap fan to a total EastEnders.
very quickly, you're here to visit Matthew Robinson today, but he invited you to the How do you see Matthew?
I don't know if I should publish that one.
Well, he became like an online friend.
I won't go that far.
Well,
He probably wouldn't say that.
yeah.
Actually, the
Correspondent.
funniest the story was is Matthew Robinson. There's an EastEnders Usenet news group on the internet, and Matthew Robinson had basically receiving a huge amount of slack because Grant. Starting. There's a Usenet group for EastEnders on the internet, and Matthew Robinson had been receiving a whole lot of grief because he'd killed Tiffany off. You know, everyone said it was his choice. I mean, I'm assuming he had a big say in it, but I don't know, the bottom line. And I pretty much had gone in and was pretty much saying what I've mentioned before, that I thought that even if you kill someone who's a big star off, that it opens the door for new blood in the square. People are always moving in real life. I mean, there's always a few families that stay by,
But nothing ever stays the
but
same.
nothing always stays the same. So why would you keep someone in the center of the storyline the whole time? We might as well just call it the Grant and Tiffany show, which I'm sure a few people would like, but I personally like the whole square atmosphere, not just the one piece. And I began speaking to Mr. Robinson right then, mentioning to him my opinions on this, and then from that, I mentioned about the Walford Gazette, and he visited the site, and here we are.
Why are you in England for this? Are you in England for work purposes?
We're in England basically visiting family and everything, but we made the visit wrap around this. Albert Square, I guess, is like a mecca for some people. I guess me being one of them.
And to him,
And
it's like a second home.
Yeah, basically, it's like I've been there before. I have a feeling that when we go out there onto the set, it's actually not really going to feel as if it's actually going to feel like I've been there before, because it's like it. You've been there for 14 years. It's like it's the next street over from your house.
Is that the same for you, Denise?
Yes, I would definitely say it is the same for me. EastEnders, as like I said before, all the characters, they became like your family, and I would feel at home on the set as well.
You've never been here before.
No, this is the first. This is
Yeah,
our-
that's a very good
This is
description. I don't think you
our
can put
first-
that
no.
on that show, though, can you?
Though it's in our living room every night, and in our home, it's our first.
It's our first.
Yeah, it's our first experience.
They're going to make us look like a bunch of whack jobs like that TV did that one.
It's our first. That's the,
You do that one then.
yeah, this is one of the fan club meetings in North Carolina.
Here's the article about Ian Woodyard. Sorry, Ian Woodyard. What a twat. Let's start that again, shall we? Here's the article about Adam Woodyard, who plays Ian. He's one of the cast members that we are still trying to get an interview from. As I say, hopefully when he sees this, he'll realise that we're only interested in EastEnders. We don't care what his private life's about, or any of them for that matter, unless they want to tell us. We just appreciate the work they put into the show. So what we did for this is, because we've been waiting so long, BBC Online did an interview with him, so we got the rights to publish parts of that, and that's that.
This is one of my favorite articles when Princess...
You want to do yours?
You always have something
Go on,
to say.
go for it. Hang on.
This is one of my favorite articles. It was around the time when Princess Diana died. The Walford Gazette had basically put their own little tribute to her, saying the fact that how she was an EastEnders fan and how she visited the set. So that was very touching to me that they remembered her in the Walford Gazette.
And here we have a copy of the first ever Walford Gazette, which looks like it was put together in about 3 minutes, but I'm sure it wasn't. We did a reminiscent issue of all the old articles. As you can see, back then Dirty Dem was in it, and Barbara Windsor had just been. We just heard that she was going to be in it, and then we have Wilmot Brown. I mean, you could see how old this is. It was about 7 years ago, and then we had little joke adverts for Deals on Wheels there. So it's called David Wicks, and here's the phone number. And then we have the letter section, which more recently has become full of people emailing us because, of course, people from around the world can send an email in 20 seconds rather than having to send a letter to us. They can read the website and they can send us their opinions in a matter of seconds. And we started to publish the email letters too. Another thing we like to do is we like to publish pictures of anyone who's met an EastEnders cast member, which of course I'm not going to be able to find now. Oh, no, okay, forget that then. We like to publish, you want me to just say that bit? We like to publish pictures of members of the public that are fans that have met cast members. We recently had one of a lady meet the lady who played Cindy. I think it was on Southend-on-Sea she met her down by the beach. A lot of the cast members aren't too impressed with meeting fans, other than, they like their private life, which we do understand, so that's fair enough. But most of the guys that are involved with us, the fans, they just want a picture taken and shake their hand and then walk away. That's it. Another thing we like to do is we like to find when other bigger TV stars now have been in the show. This one's probably well known over here. Emma from the Spice Girls was actually a mugger. She mugged Jules a while ago. There's a little picture over there. And another thing we like to find is we like to find when the characters were in the show before. Like we actually learned by watching the first episode of EastEnders Revealed, exactly where the person who plays Louise was actually the little boy's mum who Andy saved running across the street. We knew she was in there somewhere. Another one was Alan Jackson's grandmother was one of the delivery nurses for Michelle's baby, but you know this.
Can I just do a shot of just Denise reading the paper from behind? Yeah, there's one more
I told you next to them, so.
All right, you want me to say anything or just hold?
No.